Right, making homemade apple cider or inmate brew, call it whatever you like. I'll start from the list. The easiest way to do this is with a 10-litre container and you fit a tap to it. It doesn't need to seal and you don't need an airlock regardless of what anybody says. You do not need an airlock. If somebody tells you you do, don't listen. Alright, I've been doing it like this for about 6 years. You do not need an airlock. Makes enough CO2 that it pushes all the crap out. You put this hole and you just buy a cheap bin. Run your hole saw backwards. I'm not sure if you'd be able to use a step drill, it might tear it. And fill it up with water. Make sure you've got a gasket or you seal it with silicone sealant. If you seal it with silicone sealant, you've got to leave it overnight. Fill it with water and leave it for a few hours and make sure that it doesn't leak. That's important because this whole process takes 3 weeks. And if you've got a small leak, you've got a big puddle. Right, I use this sanitizer. Not sure if you need to, it's just that it was easy to get for me. I use a teaspoon of that into there, fill it with hot water, leave it for 10 minutes and just tip it out. You could probably use sodium metabisulfate, or what I used to do when I brewed beer was just fill it up with hot water and swirl it around, and that's the end of it. Now the important ingredient is your orange juice. This is what we get in New Zealand. I'll try to get this down here close. It's gone to macro. There's no additives. I can't remember the bad one that you don't want. I think it's nitrates or potassium something or other. You want a pure one. Now you can also do it in these containers if you take a third out and then you add 245 grams of sugar. It's a bastard of a thing to dissolve the sugar in these. But after you do that, I did it for years like this with an airlock in the top. You don't need that. But you can't just leave the cap loose, because what happens is as the gas leaves, it screws the cap on tight and you can finish up with an explosion and a huge mess. So you need to put something there to stop the cap from screwing all the way on. Right, we'll move along. So the whole recipe is 6 litres of juice, 500 grams of sugar, and mix it. I've got a cake mixer, I use that. You could use an egg beater, mix it in here if you want to. Use an egg beater or any power tool. Make your life easier. Trying to mix in here, waste of time. After you mix it, add a teaspoon of yeast. This is just a basic yeast, just a bread yeast basically. It's an all-purpose, and a teaspoon is fine. I've done it with a half teaspoon. It actually works. I'm drinking one now. I use this powdered orange juice because it's got no sugar in it. Years ago I was using bottled orange juice. Didn't realise it was full of bloody sugar. It cost me $7,000 for teeth repairs. I've tried water. I've tried soda water. When I was in the US, I did some cranberry juice. It was a bit too sweet for me. It seemed to be a popular drink over there. But I found that's the cheapest and the easiest way around this. Otherwise it doesn't taste so good. I have done this up to about 1.2 kilos per 6 litres. And trust me, when I put it on the refractometer, it was the max you could get for this yeast was 15%. This probably runs at about 8, I guess. I haven't looked at it. I don't even know where my refractometer is. I've got some other stuff I could use, but I don't care. I think it's probably about the consistency of wine. So I'm not going to show you the whole process of mixing it. I mean, how you mix it is your business. So I'll show you a couple of things I've got inside. Right, this stand makes it easier inside. You can see I've got cider here. It probably only comes up to about there. I've drunk some. You can see it goes clear when it's ready, it's clear. But to stand and just putting a bit of tissue down there saves a hell of a mess. It makes your life a lot easier. And use your empties to mix your orange juice up in. Also, when you get to the end, you can tip it up and tip your last bit into there. The important thing with all of this is to clean as you go. As you use your juice, rinse the bottles out because you're going to use them again. As you empty that, rinse it out, let it soak, scrub it gently up with a brush, rinse it out, make sure you rinse out the tap, but clean as you go. Otherwise, if you don't, it's a dog of a thing once it dries to get off. And do it in the laundry. It's easier. Alright, I'll show you something else in a sec. Right, I've got a polystyrene hot box because I live in a cold climate. It's temperature controlled with an Inkbird 60 watt light bulb. You could probably get away if you just use like a 15 or a 20 watt light and just leave it on. This just speeds up the process. I'll leave it in here for about a week. Bottles need to be in, like the apple juice needs to be in overnight. You don't want this any hotter than about 26, 30s max. I used to do it at 30. I found it didn't do anything. All it did was cost me money and power. I can't think of anything else. So that'll be it. Just if you've got any questions, just put them in the comment. I'll answer them as I go. All right.